Somebody asked in the comments, if you were in prison and you won the lottery, would you be allowed to keep it? Well, the short answer is yes. But let's look into why that is, how that came about, and there's some little interesting sort of add-ons to that. We know this is the case because about 20 years ago, a guy was convicted of a very serious offence that would trip the YouTube algorithm, so I won't say it. And he received a life sentence. Now, obviously, it's very rare that life actually means life, and that'll become relevant in a moment. But anyway, later on in his sentence, he was on day release, so he was allowed out of prison. And while he was out, he bought a lottery ticket with his own money, and he won. He won £7 million. So the issue was, well, what to do with it? Could he keep it? Well, obviously, while he was in prison, there are restrictions on sort of, how much money you can have in there. But this money was effectively held in trust by the Home Office because there was this big row as to whether he was entitled to have it. And there were lots of legal proceedings about this. Now, eventually, he was released on licence. Because when you get sent to prison, whether it's a life sentence or say you get what we call a determinate sentence, so like you get 5 years, you don't, as you know, you don't serve the full 5 years. Depending on when you were sentenced and what regime and how long you get the sentence for, you'd serve between half and 2/3 of that sentence. But for the rest of the sentence, even though you're out, you're released on licence. And there can be sort of specific licence conditions, do not go near this place, do not do this. But there's general, be of good behaviour. And if you breach those conditions, you can be taken back inside and you may end up serving, the full sentence. And it's the same with a life sentence. You get what they call the tariff. And the tariff is the minimum term you must serve before you can be eligible for parole. But even if you're released on a life license, you are, on a life sentence, you are on license for life. So any breach and you can be recalled. But it also means they can put conditions on you. And in this case, they put the condition, they said, we will monitor that money and we will release just effectively an allowance to you every month that you can live on. But this person challenged this in the courts and eventually said, well, actually, it was his own money. There's nothing we can actually do because, he was sentenced at the time. He didn't have any money. There were no compensation orders. And people didn't consider it worth suing him on a civil basis because, he didn't have any money. But what arose then was, well, can we sue him now? And some people tried that and actually said, no, you're out of time for suing him, which, because, sympathy does not create jurisdiction, as judges often say. And they said, well, look, the problem is, we can't set a precedent that you can wait till somebody's worth suing before limitation starts, because the whole point of limitation is it gives an element of certainty. People can get on with their lives, and also people don't have to worry about, keeping on to evidence and things like that. But in this particular case, he was released, so he's on license, and the condition is, this is all you're getting. But he challenged that, and now the full money is his. So that is the situation. What would happen though if you'd bought a ticket, without your money, or something like that? Well, we get into proceeds of crime here. The thing with proceeds of crime is when they go for what are called confiscation orders, it's turnover, not profit. So it's any money that goes through your hands. So say, for instance, I drive a truck with £10 million worth of stolen art in the back. The fact that, and somebody pays me £200 to drive that truck, well, I'm deemed to have benefited for the full cost of all the stolen goods. And lots of other people, anybody who's handled those, they can chase everybody the full amount. This happens a lot in drug cases where they say, you had, £200 worth of drugs, therefore your profit is £200, and it doesn't matter if you then gave it to somebody else. They're the same. So that's one thing. Had he bought it with money that wasn't his, or he wasn't allowed to use it, for instance, this is your money, you can go out and buy some toothpaste, and he bought a lottery ticket. Arguably, there might be a situation, a different case there. But also, just to pad this out, if you ever do buy a lottery ticket, this is really, I know you like tangents. Always create a deed if you're in a syndicate and say, basically, you are buying this lottery ticket or these lottery tickets, and the money that's going in is all your money, jointly owned, because otherwise, if you just get one person to buy the ticket, they get the money tax-free, but then if they divvy it up between everybody else gets taxed. So there you go, that's just something I'd throw in there. So, it's amazing what little roads we ramble down, isn't it? Yeah, hope that answered the question. Actually, like I say, it's a really short question, so that's why I just rambled on a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, please consider clicking the like button and also possibly subscribing. Thank you.